If your wing dividers are tearing instead of leaving a clean line, you're not alone. Today I'll show you a super simple fix that worked really well for me and didn't require any fancy materials to get going. In this video we'll look at why wing dividers dull over time and how to know when yours needs some attention. Then we'll jump straight into this quick tip that leave a perfect mark every time. I'll also share my tips for long-term maintenance. So you can tell this in two different ways. Number one, looking at the leather, you can see these micro tears or cracks in the leather surface. And compare this to a nice clean impression from a sharp wing divider. You can see this looks much more like a precise cut rather than a scratch. And these cracks happen because this dull and ragged wing divider is being dragged along the leather surface. This brings other material with it and creates this scratchy looking mark. And number two, by looking at the wing divider tip, instead of coming to a nice sharp point, it's actually slightly bent over or angled and rough at the end. Step one, we want to start with some fine grit sandpaper. I'm going to use something around the 1500 grit mark and lightly run your wing dividers over the sandpaper to remove any nicks and reshape the point. You can see the wing divider has 4 sides, so you want to do this on each one of the sides. And here you want to maintain those angles, so make sure you keep them as consistent as you can. And wetting sandpaper helps reduce friction, improve the finish that you get, and also cut down on any metal dust that you'll create. Now I just move the wing dividers around in a circular motion to remove those sharp edges from the point. What works really well for me is to open those wing dividers up as wide as you can so you can get to the other 3 faces. And just keep going with the circular motions and you'll see a nice amount of material is removed and comes off onto the sandpaper, so you know it's working. Let's understand why wing dividers dull over time, instead of cleanly leaving an impression in the surface. So the wing divider is used to mark the stitching lines before we punch with our stitching chisels. And they're one of our most regularly used tools in the workshop. And these wing dividers have a very thin pointed tip so that we can nicely mark a line in the leather surface. And a very thin tip means that the wing divider is actually prone to bending. And no one talks about sharpening these, but they can round over as you use them and form a scratchy surface that just tears your leather rather than cleanly marking the top surface. So over time and through extended use, the metal tip can deform. And this is through contact with your leather, your workbench, your toolkit, or just general wear and tear. If you've got any value out of this video so far, please like it and subscribe for future sharpening hacks. Thanks so much. For me, I find sharpening tools is very therapeutic. Over time, the tools you use as a crafter on a daily basis wear out and become dull. And being able to sharpen them all and have the knowledge on how to improve your tools, I feel is such a rewarding part of the process. You'll find this slurry of metal sharpenings and water that will come off and leave you with a nice sharp point. And step 2, we're going to grab some polishing compound and a leather strop. And this allows us to smooth or hone that polished surface and remove any tiny imperfections. This will help sharpen it to a razor sharp point. Now, I've talked about polishing compound so many times on this channel. I love it. The ultra-fine particles of chromium oxide that are suspended in the wax allow you to really take the sharpening game to the next level. It creates incredibly polished blades and tools that will just massively improve your crafting process. So I'm no expert, but I discovered this the other day when using my dull wing dividers, and I spent time researching and found no useful videos on this. So hopefully you learned something new in this video. And then step 3 is just to test out your wing dividers. Grab a piece of scrap leather and run them up along the edge, and you should now have a really nice, sharp, consistent stitch line. This should now set you up really nicely for my favorite part of the process, and that's the stitching. Your guiding line for those stitching chisels to lay that thread down and finish up your leather goods. If this makes my stitching just look 5% better, then I'm happy. Each new skill helps me to be a better crafter. In previous videos, I've talked about how you can use polishing compound on a leather strop to maintain a nice sharp edge or point. And you can also do that with wing dividers. So during your leatherwork projects, you can just run it up and down the strop a few times, and that will help really nicely maintain that point, so you don't need to go back to the sandpaper. If you've liked this video, you may enjoy one of my others. Maybe check out one of my other videos up on the screen or on my channel now you finish this one. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.